Good morning, my friends. Rise and shine. It's gardening time. I do hope everyone's having a wonderful start to your day. I sure am. The chickens are enjoying the morning. We've got some dry weather, so I'm outside. Hopefully, if you guys are off today, you're able to get out to your gardens. But what I'm going to be doing today is a bit of fertilization. And this isn't something I typically do around this time of year. What are you doing over there, Rocket? He's good with the chickens. As you can see, they're not even frightened by him, but they do respect him. Anyway, what I'm really looking for when it comes time to fertilize is, for one, that we've got some foliage, and we've got plenty of greenery, especially since a lot of what I grow back here is actually evergreen, meaning that it never loses its leaves, so I could fertilize at any time if I'm doing a foliar feed. These chickens sure are characters. They've got great interest in shiny things like cameras, as you can see. What we do have going for us today is some cloud cover, and you never want to fertilize when it's bright and sunny. And again, in the case of foliar feeding, you want to target either early in the morning or late in the evening. That way you're not stressing out the plant. So I'm assuming my title today may have drawn you into this video. And no, it's not clickbait. It's actually some real good information I'm going to share with you today. Some of you are probably thinking that you already know where I'm going to go with this, because I've shared with you in the past some of my favorite fertilizing techniques, whether that's a compost tea or using something like a fish emulsion. But this is something new that I haven't touched on directly in previous videos. I've probably mentioned it. In fact, I know I mentioned it recently in a video and even showed you a little bit of it. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to tap into this wonderfully abundant resource right here, my backyard fish pond. Now, by the way, if you want to learn how to build yourself a pond like this, I put together a 3-part series showing you the build from start to finish. And this was a one-man job. I dug this out using a shovel, and it really went by pretty quick. And I have a 4th part that I'm going to be putting together within the week just to kind of round out those first 3 videos. But everything you need to actually get your pond built has already been put out there. I've got a playlist, and I'll drop those links below this video in the description box, so check it out. I've been very happy all in all, including this water feature in the garden. Not only are the fish entertaining and the water sounds quite soothing and meditative, but this truly is a resource not to be overlooked. See, I come out here every day and I give the fish some food, some bigger pellets for the more mature fish, and a little bit of flakes for the tiny guys that are still in the system. Now with these fish, the more they eat, the more waste they're going to produce, and that waste turns into ammonia. And it's the beneficial bacteria in a healthy pond system that helps to convert that ammonia to nutrient-dense plant food that's high in nitrogen. The pond system that helps to convert that ammonia to nutrient-dense plant food that's high in nitrogen, which is why having plants actually in a pond system is a natural form of filtration, using the same principles as any aquaponics system, whereas the plant's roots are actually taking up those excess nutrients and utilizing it to grow plant matter. And that's important because if you have too high a concentration of ammonia or these nutrients building up in a pond, it can become detrimental to the fish's health and the overall ecosystem of the pond. Excuse me, Rocket. He likes to eat some of the fish food as well. So right now, being that we're in the winter time, you can see most of the plants have gone dormant. We just have one plant back there that's still actually doing okay. So because of the fact that a lot of these plants are dormant, there's not a lot of natural filtration occurring right now, it is important that I cycle some of this water out and then add some fresh water back into the system just to keep everything running efficiently and keeping that water nice and clean. You can see the water's a little bit murky right now, It actually was pretty clear earlier, but I was doing some fiddling around with some of the rocks and some of the plants that are in here, and it kind of murked it up. But that's fine, because I'm going to be extracting about a third of this water out of the system now. So you don't want to cycle too much of the water out at one time. About a third is as much as I'll ever do. Even less would be better. Now, one of the most obvious and easiest way to accomplish this task is to simply dip a watering can right into the pond and go ahead and feed your plants. I've got some calla lilies here, nice perennial flower. I'll give this gigantic artichoke a little bit of nutrient. So it really doesn't get much easier than that. But obviously, if you're dealing with a larger garden design, such as my backyard food forest, you're not going to want to walk back and forth with a watering can to get all these plants fertilized. That's where this wonderful device right here comes into play. This is a Wayne half horsepower cast iron transfer utility pump. I've been using this for years to broadcast my fertilizer, whether it's compost tea or other batches that I make up just using liquid kelp, fish emulsion. This thing is absolutely amazing. Set this system up, it only takes about a minute. You're going to need 2 hoses, one for the inlet, one for the outlet. The inlet hose can be quite short. 10-foot hose is usually good. And to keep that larger particulate out of the system, you just want to run your inlet hose through some sort of a filtering device. You can use just rocks in a pot, or like what I have here, just a compost tea brewing bag. And on the outlet end, I like to use this style of spray nozzle because you can open up the tip here nice and wide, which will allow any little, crumbs or anything coming through the system to blast out, unlike a traditional spray nozzle where you got little fine holes. And I'm using a 100-foot Craftsman rubber hose for this. I like the rubber hoses because they don't kink. And with the 100-foot hose, you can really cover a lot of territory. And this pump has the power to push that fluid through. So we need to prime the pump. So we'll just take some of that pond water. And I'm not worried about making a mess with the water. I'm going to be cleaning this pump off when I'm all done. And this is not an on-demand pump. So as soon as you plug it in, it fires up. So you want to get to the other end and start releasing that pressure as soon as you can. You don't want to let it sit idle, or it can actually burn up the pump. So I'm going to plug it in, and we're going to get to spraying. All right, so for this part, you might want to put some gloves on. It can be a little messy. And check it out. Quick and easy way to get this nutritious fertilizer water to your plants. And this is what we call foliar feeding. And you can adjust the spray nozzle, have it fan out a little bit. Now, something important to mention when doing a foliar feeding is you want to aim to try to get the underside of the leaves. That's where the stomata is located, which is basically the pores of the plant. It's how the plant breathes, and it also uptakes nutrients through the stoma. There's research that shows that in as little as an hour, the plant will uptake these nutrients. It'll go throughout the entire plant, all the way to the root system. Pretty impressive stuff. So over here, I'm feeding my kumquat tree. And as you can see, there's a lot of edible fruits on this tree. Now the kumquat, you eat the peel as well. You may want to skip foliar feeding, especially with like a fish pond waste on your edible crops. If you do, definitely going to want to wash that produce very well. I wash all my produce for the most part coming out of my garden. There's just so much bird activity, especially. I just don't want to risk, having any sort of an issue, so I'm not worried about it. But if you are somebody who likes to just pick and eat, you want to keep that in mind. You're going to want to wash any edibles very well after doing a foliar feeding. Over here though, we've got an artichoke plant, and there's no edible globes on this plant right now, so this is a fine candidate for this type of feeding. Also, any fruit tree that's beginning to leaf out but doesn't yet have its fruit would be another good candidate. But this setup isn't just for foliar spray. You can also just root drench. It's all about the convenience. So with this 100-foot hose, I can get around and feed the majority of my garden in just a few minutes. It doesn't need much. This is a very efficient way to feed plants. And hey, if you don't have a pond, you can still utilize the technique with the transfer pump. Just get yourself some sort of a vessel, like a garbage can, anything, even a kiddie pool, and go ahead and make your batch of fertilizer tea, whether it's a compost tea or if you want to throw in some fish emulsion or some liquid kelp. And you can disperse that fertilizer all over your plants in a matter of minutes. So there you have it. I am giving up all my secrets, and I'm happy to do it. Everything I share on this channel, I try to put into practice first. I do a bunch of research on the topic, and I only want to share things that are going to help you to streamline your gardening success. Now, this is one of those techniques that I've been employing that I feel all gardeners should implement, especially if you've got a larger garden. Foliar spray is a great way to go. Now, there's other ways to apply a foliar feeding. Of course, you can use a pump sprayer. You can even use a little spray bottle. But this is by far the easiest, quickest method. Spray up this fava bean and garlic patch here. Got some more greens. Remember, target the underside of the leaf. Really important. Now, as far as weather goes, the best temperature for applying a foliar feed is around 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you can get within that temperature range and, have it be earlier in the morning or later in the evening, so you're not getting the sun, that's when you're going to get the maximum benefit. But just get as close to any of those points as you can. You can instantly see a difference on these plants. I don't know if it's coming through on the camera, but they just perk up. The color comes out very similar to when you're spraying a compost tea. But this is the kind of love you want to show your garden. So a little bit of care like this goes a long way. Healthy plants are going to resist disease and pest. They're going to produce very well for you and thrive. So I've been feeding my plants now non-stop about 5 to 8 minutes. Let's go see what kind of dent we made in the pond. So as you can see, the water level went down probably about 3 inches, maybe 4 inches. The fish are fine. So I will be adding some more water back into the pond, and all you do is you take the inlet portion of this setup, put it into your fresh water source, and take the outlet and put it in the pond. and refill. And I won't bore you with that. I've got some other videos showing that whole process already. That's how easy it is to cycle the water out of the pond, utilize this valuable resource in the garden. Well, I sure hope this video was helpful to you in some way. And so with that, I'm going to head on inside, do a quick edit and upload, and get this out to you folks. Until next time, this is Dan from plantabundance.com. Take care. I'll be talking to you again soon.